This is the BMW X7, which is the brand's flagship SUV. This is also the brand's first ever attempt at making a full-size 3-row SUV, which reflects the market's strong demand for SUVs of varying sizes. And what an imposing and luxurious SUV this actually is. In terms of design, there's no denying na sobrang imposing niya tingnan. And of course, we have to talk about that ginormous kidney grille. Finally being able to see it in person, and I now actually appreciate the grille's design, which is then flanked by slim adaptive LED headlights with laser lights for high beams. And then moving towards the side, the X7 certainly looks authoritative and blocky to look at. And being the pure excellence variant, it is garnished with a tasteful amount of chrome trimmings. And then the rear is also just as imposing as the car's front end, with its wide LED taillights, integrated exhausts, and basically kanyang overall go big or go home vibe. Overall, I actually like the BMW X7's looks. But what do you think? Design is overall a subjective matter. And then moving inside, the BMW X7 is truly a luxurious place to be in. And that better really be the case if you're spending more than 9 billion pesos on an SUV.
So as for the interior of the BMW X7, and well, just like the 7 Series, what you see is what you get. If you think it's aluminum, it's aluminum. If it's wood, it's wood. If it's leather, it's leather. It's an authentic interior, no? So you're at the price point na there are no cheap plastics here. Wala kang mga, yung mga hard plastics here. Everything here is in soft touch plastic, or in the case of the dashboard, it's in soft leather. And wow. In terms of the overall design, I wouldn't think it's as special as what you would find in a Mercedes-Benz GLS. But as far as quality is concerned, everything is much better here sa BMW X7, no? So ang issue ko with the GLS would be the climate controls, yung parang medyo you can wiggle it a bit. But here, everything here is built like a tank. As in talagang everything here in this interior is well screwed together. Walang part here na nagwi-wiggle, na-flex. Talagang it's like a tank itong loob niya. It's really a nice place to be. And well, if you're spending 9.2 million pesos in an SUV, no, what do you expect man naman? You expect nothing but the best. And the X7 delivers in that respect. And basically, the theme naman with all BMW interiors is yung familiarity, no? So even if you're climbing from a 3 Series or a 1 Series, climbing up to an X7, it would still feel familiar para sa'yo, no? Hindi kayong parang magugulat na, how does this work? How do you press the buttons, yung aircon nung iDrive 7 niya and all that? Everything here feels familiar, and that's a good thing in this BMW X7, no? That's of course gonna be always a good thing. And speaking of user-friendliness and familiarity, it's about time that we get into BMW iDrive 7 in this case.
Like what I always say sa aking mga BMW reviews, BMW's iDrive is one of the best infotainment systems in the entire auto industry. And this BMW X7 is no exception. This car is running iDrive 7. And as with previous versions of iDrive, the infotainment system is snappy and easy to use. Plus, the menus are logically laid out. Wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto come as standard, along with the BMW Intelligent Personal Assistant.
Hey BMW!
Good morning. What can I help you with?
Set the temperature to 24 degrees Celsius.
No problem. I set the temperature in the driver's area on 24 degrees Celsius.
Hey BMW, tell me a joke.
I can't imagine that you're bored. Maybe you haven't yet had the chance to try sport mode.
Oh, and take a look at this car's 360-degree camera system. And before you comment, oo, matagal lang nauna ang BMW sa ganitong camera system. Way before Geely did theirs with the Coolray.
So as for rear seat interior space, makikita mo there's a lot of interior space. Ang lawak talaga niya. So kahit pa Lumi 4 ka, ang sobrang lawak niya. You also have cup holders. They're, I think, the world's most overly engineered cup holders sa totoo lang, or at least for the back. And then other amenities that you have, meron ka nung, of course, the rear entertainment system, which is linked to the BMW iDrive 7 infotainment system sa harap. Then you also have 2-zone climate control sa likod. So basically, this is now, when you combine all the zones, you have 5 zones, kasi even the third row has their own zone for the climate control. So because of that, let's dive into the car's second row infotainment system. I mean, rather the entertainment system, and what kind of functions you're able to do with this. So dito sa kanyang rear entertainment system, you can control your media source. So kung gusto mong sa radio sa harap, and you can even hook your HDMI, yung iyong laptop or phone na may HDMI, tas it's gonna play movies through the screen. Nav is basically linked to the navigation sa harap, and you can also set your own navigation through here. So kung gusto mong sabihin sa driver, sa chauffeur mo na ito yung gusto mong destination, you can actually do that. Traffic information, lahat tayong traffic information sa Pilipinas, car. So you can browse your vehicle settings, clear display. Interior light, you can change the ambient lights from here actually. So kung gusto mong blue, you can change the ambient lights to blue for like entire vehicle. As for apps, you have to install apps kung gusto mo ng apps for the car. And that's pretty much it. It's actually one of the best implementations of a rear entertainment system because it's integrated into iDrive 7. It's built into the car's infotainment. Hindi siya yung hiwalay na component pa like in other cars. So yeah, the integration is really well done. Yeah, ganda yung functionality niya. Then dahil dyan, let's move on to the car's third row. So as for its third row seats, kailangan mo lang pindutin itong button na to. Then the front seat will move forward on its own. And yes, makakapasok tayo sa wakas. So pagkataw lang sa inyo, this is at its furthest back position, and I have good amounts of legroom. Okay sa akin ang legroom niya. Seat height is excellent. Hindi siya yung sobrang baba sa floor unlike in other SUVs. Biggest sin would be the PPVs. My thighs have excellent support. Headroom is really good. And you have your own panoramic glass roof dito sa likod, oh, and your own climate control. This is a really good third row. The best third row in any SUV sa totoo lang. I can go to Clark here in this third row sa totoo lang. So even if this second row passenger seat is moved all the way back, I still have space. I also have ambient lights dito sa likod. I also have yung wood paneling. I'm not sure change in terms of luxury sa totoo lang. BMW spent a lot of effort in making the third row even habitable for an adult like me. I'm 5'10" and I really have good amounts of room here sa third row niya. Car manufacturers, this is how you do a third row.
Being a full-size SUV, the BMW X7 has a very large trunk. As a matter of fact, with all the seats up, you have 326 liters of space, which is actually even more than a hatchback like the Toyota Wigo. And then if you fold the third row seats down, which is of course done automatically, and this increases to 750 liters. And then if you fold down the second row seats, this significantly increases to more than 2100 liters, which is even larger than most minivans and MPVs. And then powering this BMW X7 is a 3-liter straight-six turbocharged diesel engine. And it's one mighty and torquey engine at that. Not only is it powerful, but it also sounds really good, yet it delivers excellent fuel economy. And it's not just good for a full-size SUV for that matter, as you'll find out in a couple of minutes.
So as for the driving experience of the BMW X7, and wow, sabihin ko na lang I love the inline 6. Yung una kong sasabihin agad, I love the inline 6 of this car. So, under hard acceleration, ang ganda ng tunog niya. It sounds like, parang isipin mo na lang a low-revving Toyota GR Supra. Well, total kasi, it's a surprise na the engine's made by BMW sa GR Supra, di ba? Pero basically, that's the noise it makes. Medyo katunog niya yung sa GR Supra na, yun nga lang, mababa ang red line niya at only 5,000 RPM. Pero grabe ang ganda ng tunog niya. And this engine's such a locomotive in terms of the pulling power. You have a lot of torque. Almost the entire rev range, totoo lang. So, wala akong complete na para, dito lang yung ng hatak ng diesel engine. No, it's almost in the entire RPM range, like a gasoline engine. So, the engine feels wonderful. And then this engine also is not just powerful, but also fuel efficient. So, for the entire week that I was using this car, my fuel economy was at 12 kilometers per liter, dead straight 12 kilometers per liter. And you have to consider that this SUV, this 2.4-ton SUV, accelerates from 0 to 100 kph in just 7 seconds. So, despite being that powerful and quick, ang ganda na fuel economy. And that's basically naman talaga the signature of BMW, no? Matipid sa gas yung mga engines sila, regardless if it's gas or diesel. And then, another thing is with the BMW X7 is its handling. So, wait lang, unahan lang natin itong sasakyan na to. Woo! That's already 100! No, fit ko lang yung kotse yun, that's already 100. I love how this engine performs. I love how this engine pulls. Let's overtake another car. And then apart from the stonkingly fast engine, no? Apart from this being blisteringly quick, ang ganda rin ng handling niya. So ito, we're gonna enter some corners. So with the X7, kung maalala niyo, ang ganda ng handling niya. So here, this 2.4-ton SUV handles like a sports car. I'm not even kidding about that part. So remember my BMW 7 Series review, diba? Where I said that that car was siguro may hint of sportiness lang siya, but not entirely sporty as what you would expect in a BMW. Kasi that car steering was light, numb, and not exactly full of feel. Pero itong nasa X7 na to, ibang story ibang story yung steering tsaka yung body control ng suspension niya. So, with the X7, yung air suspension niya deals with bumps pretty well. That's a given naman, no? It's also a self-leveling air suspension, and it's also height adjustable. So, kung let's say, may gustong sumakay, tas nahihirapan, or whatever, kasi mataas yung ground clearance niya, you can lower it. And also, that's an advantage for off-roading then if you're willing to take a 9 million peso SUV off-roading. But apart from that, yung kanyang body control is excellent. It's able to keep this 2.4-ton SUV flat sa corners. Kaya kahit i-hustle ko to through corners, I feel confident hustling this car through corners even more than a PPV. Well, again, they're not on the same level, pero you know, this car was engineered to a point where this car defies the physics, no, the laws of physics. So even if you take it enthusiastically through a corner, it won't tip over. There's even not much body roll even compared to a Fortuner. Again, not on the same level nga, but just consider how much engineering BMW has done sa kanyang air suspension to counteract the body roll, the diving, the rolling motions. It's a well-tuned and well-engineered air suspension. Put it in sport mode and it just claws onto the road really well. Hindi siya yung parang mag-roll through corners. And with the X-Drive all-wheel drive system, it's rear bias, no? So it really enters and exits through corners like a sports sedan. It's a really, really well-tuned powertrain and drivetrain, no? So now we're gonna be entering through an expressway. And that's basically 100 na ngayon. We've already achieved 100 kph. With the engine barely even breaking a sweat. I love it. I love this engine so much. I love the inline 6 in this car. And now that we're in the expressway, it's a great time to talk about its refinement. Because, well, being the flagship SUV, I mean, tahimik, it's really that definition of quiet, you know. It's, at least before you go to a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, this is one of the quietest cars you could ever buy with your own money at any point before you reach a Rolls Royce or a Bentley. There's barely any road noise. There's barely any wind noise. It's really dead silent. And lampasan na natin to. It's really super quiet. This car is really quiet. It's dead silent. And there's a lot of cars in the overtaking lane. Just go. They're not even doing 100 kph. Anyway, so yun nga, this engine really performs really well. Like mo sabing really, di ba? Right? This engine is really sublime. One of the best engines I've driven in a car this year. And usually with the 7-seater SUV, yung rear suspension niya would be a bit firm kasi nga it's supposed to carry heavy loads, but not in this car. Not in this car. And even with a lot of people, usually the car would tip over na, di ba? Nakagano na siya, nakatingala kasi loaded na siya. But here in the X7, because of its self-leveling air suspension, wala ka nung ganong effect. Hindi siya titingala. It still looks composed, and basically wala ka nung ganong drawbacks of just having no self-leveling air suspension. As for negatives, actually sa totoo lang, with the driving experience, there's no negative. I'm not even kidding on that part. Body roll is good. Suspension in terms of the ride is good. Excellent pa nga, as a matter of fact. I literally have no downside with this car. It's both sporty, comfortable, refined, quiet, fuel efficient. Well, that's what you get with 9.2 million pesos. You just get everything you want. In terms of the driving experience, wala akong drawback sa coaching ito. This is one of the first cars that I've driven na wala akong drawbacks. It's really that good.
Only one variant of the BMW X7 is available, and that's this xDrive 30D Pure Excellence. Some of the other features you get with this car include a parking assistant self-parking feature, reversing assistant, which remembers your steering inputs from the last 50 meters that you drove, and then it will replay all of your steering inputs as a reverse out of a sticky situation. Of course, the question now is it all worth it? At just a little under 9 million pesos, the X7 is definitely a lot of car. Though our gripe, however, is that the X7 doesn't come with any advanced driver assistance features, such as adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, or any of those kinds of features. But apart from that, the X7 is indeed the ultimate BMW SUV, and its driving dynamics and sheer luxury alone are already worth its astronomical asking price.